Hi, this weekend I watched No One Will Save You, the new film by Brian Duffield, who's his second film as director, after he'd previously written Jane Got a Gun for Jane Campion and Underwater for William Eubank. It's the story of a young woman living in a large house on the outskirts of a small town. She is, for reasons that we don't yet know, a pariah, and so spends her time working on um, textile projects and keeping her distance from everyone else. One night, she finds the house invaded by mysterious creatures that appear to be aliens. She manages to repel them, goes for help, but finds that the whole town and perhaps the whole world is under attack. The main point of interest about the movie is a production detail, which is that apart from a brief moment in the middle of the movie, the film has no spoken dialogue. There is some chatter in the background that we can't quite hear. There's no specific reason that these characters can't speak. It's simply that they don't. Our main character, whose name we quickly learn is Bryn, is simply isolated from everyone else and has no reason to speak. She would have no reason to speak to the invaders, and no one else wants to speak to her. She does vocalize and exclaim, and there are numerous other characters who do the same, but there's only two lines of dialogue in the middle of the film that are actually spoken, and they are extremely important to the plot. We find out, for example, exactly what Bryn's background is and why the town hates her. I was very impressed by this film. It's a solid 90-minute feature. It's very tense. The how home invasion sequences are well done, and as the film expands towards the end and we get more of a sense of what the creatures are, what interest they might have in our main character, and what plans they have for the whole community. It shows a great level of, I think, invention, but a focus on the main character. The story always goes back to our central character, someone who has, we find over the course of the story, suffered for many years, lives an isolated and solitary and very insular existence, but is also a fighter, someone who doesn't want to give up, someone who will not allow others to push her around. And that extends to aliens coming into her house and trying to smash it up. Kaitlyn Dever in the lead role I thought was superb. I was unaware of her work. I know her name because she's done a lot of American television. She did 10 years in a sitcom with Tim Allen. But this is apparently a big departure for her, and she's excellent. Duffield's work as a director is superb. There's an excellent use of sound all the way through to tell the story. There's lots of detail in the production design that fills in background. It's a real tour de force of how to do a really solid B movie, but with an A movie budget. The film was financed by Disney. It's available on Disney Plus in the UK, Hulu in the US. I really, really like this. It's not necessarily a deep film, but it does go into interesting areas towards the end as the nature of Bryn's isolation becomes very relevant to the story, and the invaders start to perceive her differently from other people in the town because of her past and her background when they start to be able to read her mind. Um, and the ultimate resolution, I thought, was suitably Twilight Zone-ish. Um, a clever ending in its own way that gives the audience, I think, a great deal of satisfaction and conclusion, even though the broader story is continuing. Bryn's story, at least, is brought to an ending, although not perhaps in the way that you might think. Um, but this is a really terrific film, intelligently written, thoughtfully directed, very well acted, very well designed. There's an interesting choice to reveal the aliens very early on and make it very clear what they are. They look like the typical greys, albeit a little taller, more sort of 6 foot in height. Um, but it shows that Duffield, even though this is only his second film and his first called Spontaneous, which is relatively obscure, he is now a fully fledged talent as a filmmaker, and I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing what he might produce next.